Welcome world, I am What If Studier. Today we are doing What If Deku Was Cursed to Toga, Part 5. Where we left off, Deku was kissing Toga, sharing all the memories that he could possibly do. All the emotions that he's ever felt, and she does too, in response. This sort of connection that they establish once more brings them together. And now, all she has to ask, what now, tough guy? What do you want to do? They're coming to us. And to be honest, I don't know if we can beat them. Especially not alone. We have each other, don't we? Will that be enough? It always was, wasn't it? How cute. The little princess has found her prince. Or should I say, P. What do we do to people that act like peas? Well, we eat them like the peas they are. Delete the P, and the princess never breaks out. Isn't that right, gentlemen? 10 villains behind him start gaggling. This is Tomura and Shigaraki, both sitting there, watching this whole thing go on. Now that your sort of cuddle session is all done, how about we get back into business, shall we? I think that's about right, yes, Deku responds with. Toga saying, we can't beat them. One question before we start fighting. Oh, god damn it, Deku. Were you the one that forced her into killing? Well, yes, it was my honor. She had to claim her loyalty. Loyalty? Really? Yes, loyalty. As Deku moves at the speed of light, almost dropping Toga, he immediately tries to gut punch Tomura. However, Shigaraki teleports Tomura right behind Deku, and then he tries to put his hand on his shoulder. However, Deku is too fast and immediately arcs himself and does like a flip and tries to kick at Tomura. However, Tomura grabs his kick. He has clothes on his he has like pants on, all right? So he's fine. He switches that into a side kick, side like flying kick by this point, which knocks Tomura off of his feet. However, Shigaraki's right there to teleport Tomura right back to him. As all the rest of as Tomura getting back to his feet, he orders all of the villains after him. Toga rushing back in, she immediately cuts a few of them, shanks like 2 of them, as Deku starts beating the shit out of all the rest of them. He mostly tackles straight through under them. However, his sort of rage is now dying down. She asks while they're fighting, well, when did this happen? He says, what? As he immediately kick flips a guy straight into 3 others. She says, well, seems that you unlocked your quirk finally. He says, no, that's just the rage I've been born with ever since. She's like, oh, I see. I guess I do have that effect on men sometimes. As she continuously throws knives in every single direction, she cuts down all of her foes. Tomura and Shigaraki are already making their exit as Shigaraki conjures the Nomu. Deku is reluctant on letting them leave, however, as, Tomura just got kicked in the shin, which is hurting like hell right now, and wants to just leave. Shigaraki and him start to make their way out. However, the Nomu stops Deku and Toga from following. However, All Might immediately smashes down in front of the Nomu. It says, oh, you're not stopping anyone today, monster. You'll have to be facing me now. Come on then. As immediately they start wrestling, Deku and Toga jump straight into the portal that Shigaraki had opened up, which was into an alleyway. Tomura realizes that they were right behind Shigaraki, and Shigaraki almost gets a pummeling from Deku as he was falling from the sky. However, Tomura immediately gets in the way as Deku tries to dodge out by kicking against the wall. Toga, however, behind him almost gets hit by it. However, she dodges back as fast as she can and then hides into the shadows. As Tomura says, "You were always a scaredy cat. I knew you weren't cut out for the job. We'll just hire a new one." Or maybe. Mind-washing doesn't sound so bad now, does it? Shigaraki says, No, not really. Although I prefer to keep them fresh. So you're the creepos that took her. Now I can confirm it. Now you've got me extra riled up. As he immediately dashes straight at Tomura, continuing on their fight that they started before. Shigaraki, however, supporting Deku cannot keep up. All the teleporting hand grabs and everything, sort of almost kills him multiple times. However, he uses his jacket to cover up, trying to stop Tomura from touching him. This takes out to the street where Toga drops down from the sky, making sure that they forgot about her, and drops down onto Shigaraki, trying to stab into his his misty kind of thing, which then puts Tomura and Deku on an equal footing. Both Tomura and Deku are on the same sort of level. However, Tomura has a much more deadly way of defeating people. Deku finally gets a sort of upper hand on Tomura, how he gets him into he gets a headlock on him basically, as he, his specialty, as he turns over to Toga, trying to tell Toga to, throw a knife at him. However, Toga was currently being thrashed around and thrown onto the ground by Kirigiri, who was teleporting her everywhere, trying to get her, build up momentum to throw her as hard as he can. As immediately as he throws her, Deku, two bystanders were walking by down the alleyway, and then, are right next to Shigaraki. And Shigaraki sees them, and Deku has to either save Toga or stop or hold on to Shigaraki, and possibly, risk Toga getting a concussion from hitting her head against something really hard. This could be super bad. He just throws Shigaraki straight into a wall as hard as he can, and then jumps onto Shigaraki, jumping into the air, grabbing onto Toga, and bringing her down to the ground as safely as he can. As he looks back up, Shigaraki's already ready to teleport them to another place. However, Deku opens up does the splits as hard as he can, and as far as he can. Shigaraki and him start to go into this contest of who has the most endurance. Toga gets back up and hops out as Deku keeps on doing the splits, and then Shigaraki closes it as hard as he can, trying to crush Deku's legs. However, Deku jumps up, doing the flips, and lands on Shigaraki, throwing him as hard as he can against the wall. He starts beating the shit out of Shigaraki. However, Tomura, who had gotten the two civilians as hostages, was now holding his hands to their throats. He says, "One more finger, and they're dead. What now, hero? Easy. Toga." As Toga throws her knife as fast as she can, Shigaraki dodges under it, letting go of the two civilians. He's like, "Shit!" As immediately Deku hops onto him and crushes him into the ground, and then picks up his head and throws him straight to the ground. He looks over to Shigaraki as Shigaraki is trying to teleport away. He instantly jumps straight into the front of Shigaraki as Shigaraki bashes straight into him. Suddenly, Deku and Shigaraki are on top of the mountaintops now, on top of the rooftops. Dashing across each one, Deku chases him down relentlessly, throwing kunai at his legs, or just regular throwing knives. Kirigiri almost falls down off of the building. However, Deku grabs onto him, pulling him back up. However, Kirigiri punches him in the gut this time, and then kicks him over the edge. But however, Deku grabs onto his leg and throws him off the edge first, and they both fall down into this back into the place that they were before. this time Toga had a knife to Shigaraki's, Kirigiri, fucking Christ, Tomura's face, and was just about to stab him. However, he randomly awoke back up. Deku, looking over, he sees Shigaraki hold up his hand to her arm. Toga has been in a situation like this before where you know of it. Basically, she didn't remember about his quirk, being that if he touches you, basically, you're basically just dead. She has covering on her arm. However, in the struggle, Shigaraki pushes so hard and pushes past his limit of his quirk and goes through her clothes and connects onto her hand. And her hand starts to get rocky and cauterized as Deku charges as hard as he can and picks up Toga and looks down to her hand, seeing the stuff that had happened to his jacket. He sits. She'll have to lose this hand by the time that they get to the hospital, if anything. It was just Tomura starts to get up, saying, "More than that, hero. If you don't act quick, she might lose her own life. Maybe you can just get it off with just getting rid of the hand, but one of you will have to come out of here losing. Now what, hero? Now what? You know what? You better just shut your ass up and sit down, boy. Or I might as well have to sit your ass down for you. What? You're no hero. You're right." As Deku looks back at him with a piercing gaze, he looks down to her hand. It started to go up to the rest of her arm. No. As she says, it's fine. We can fix it at the hospital. He's like, no. You're not going to make it. Tomura and Shigaraki start to make their way out of the portal, saying, "Send it to us as a getaway gift. Ta-ta, heroes. Good killing you." Deku looks down to her hand and looks up to her. She says, "Don't do it. Don't you goddamn," and he interrupts her by kissing her. Suddenly, the wound starts to transfer over to his hand, and then the rest of his arm. His arm starts to mold away into nothingness. As Tomura looks back, seeing that Deku's arm is being released, he realizes, oh shit, he really did it. So that's the quirk that you guys have. I knew there was something. Sharing wounds, I never thought that would be part of it. You really should just know when to give up and go home, boy. You're really not sounding like a hero by this point, kid. You just lost your arm. And now shut up! As he immediately, "You hurt Toga!" As he starts to, Tomura, seeing inside of Deku's eyes, nothing but pitch black and one red dot in the middle of rage. His hair starts to spike up into red flame and then dark as it starts to mold over the rest of his body, starting with his arms and his hair. His face, his whole rest of his body starting to be cloaked in red fire. He hunts down Tomura. He kicks him to the curb as he suddenly punches him straight through his gut. And then he punches straight through his arm, his bones showing everywhere. He's already given up. His body is basically lifeless, but Deku continues on. He punches into his face and punches in again, now showing more bones than just flesh. Deku picks up his face and then smashes it against the curb. A teleportation portal appears right below him. It doesn't even affect him. He looks up to Shigaraki as Shigaraki looks in terror. No way. As he starts to walk back, trying to get into a portal, Deku immediately shoves him straight through that portal. He takes him through the different dimensions that he has in his portal, smashing him against rocks, smashing him into the depths of the caverns. He takes him up into a rock and then impales his arm through one. He takes up his arm and then rips it back, revealing the cauterized wounds of a burnt man. He's a monster. And Shigaraki just dies on the spot. Shigaraki's last portal teleports him back to the normal world, where Deku, cloaked in the flames of hatred that had haunted him once before, he releases Shigaraki's body onto the ground. With no parting words, no nothing. Just blank stares of indifference, of hatred in his eyes that truly burns. Tomura, Shigaraki, what a pitiful hatred duo. Unlike us, right, Toga? Deku, what was that? That was my love, my hatred, my everything. He instantly walks straight towards Toga as the flames start to die down. His burn wounds start to show as his whole cloak was destroyed in that moment. His eyes started to return back to normal as his and Toga's met. Their love, our love, shall be eternal. I swear to you, everyone that hurts you shall die. No one spared. Thank you, Deku. As they nod heads, and basically butt heads touching tips. They touch tips. They, my god, okay, I gotta edit this out later. They both touch tops of their foreheads, sharing how his rage had gotten the better of him and how she was so afraid of him. He says, afraid, huh? You don't have to worry about me, okay? This is all for you. You have no reason to worry. Toga says, then we need to get to your arm then. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. I almost forgot. He looks down to his left arm as it had been, well, what I had been saying this whole time is it was cauterized. That's what I've been saying, is that his cauterized arm had sprouted another arm when, when he turns into his fiery form. It's like a demon sort of possesses him. That sort of arm that he sprouts later was, was gone once he defused. He detransformationed out of it, And Toga, fearing for her life, felt super horrible for making him feel this way. Almost as if this was her fault for getting caught by Tomura. We need to get you to the hospital, tough guy. Come on. He says, fine. I'll only see the lady, though. The grandma. She's the best. I know. You told me a lot. Once we get back, well, I can't wait to just have something else to do than just fight. Something to talk to. You. Somebody, huh? Yeah, I think I'm happy too about that, Deku. They share one last kiss on the cheek as, the hospital came. Everybody comes as, everybody is super worried about all of them, especially Momo. Uraka, who immediately rushes on, hugging Deku and, is like, oh my god! We thought you were dead! Oh my fuck! Jesus! Deku, please! Just don't make us worry like this! As all the rest of his friends sort of come out, Jiro comes out, dude, did you eviscerate the bodies? He's like, well, I don't really know what happened, but, we're still alive, isn't that what matters? He's like, yeah, I guess so. And, Minetta's like, oh, and who's this beauty? He's like, hands off, Minetta. As Minetta can feel his, almost his blood-curdling stare. Minetta immediately is like, oh, yeah, totally. I don't even need to know her name. It's Toga. I know it's Toga. Yeah, no. What's your breast size? I said, I know. I'll stay away. He's like, thank you, Minetta. As he pats Minetta on the head in a very threatening sort of like, you're my pet way. So, Minetta's like, your words, boss. And Momo starts asking about, Toga and if she'll be joining them for class someday. And he's like, yeah, well, I'll be talking to my master. As, fucking Racerhead shows up in the scene after coming from the hospital. His arm was still injured, but, his eyes are still fine. He wasn't crushed or anything. So, because, the Noma wasn't hard up earlier. So, yeah. I think that'll wrap this part up. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you loved it just as much as me. And I hope that I will see you sometime, somewhere. Goodbye.